I woke up to silence so heavy it felt like it was pressing down on my chest. Not the peaceful kind, not the calm after the storm kind. This silence was cold, empty, the kind that tells you something is terribly wrong even before your eyes fully open. My throat burned like sandpaper. Every breath scraped. I tried to speak, to call out for my mother, but only a broken, hoarse sound crawled out of me. The ceiling above was white, harsh, unfamiliar. Fluorescent lights stabbed my eyes, forcing tears to spill down the sides of my face. Hospital. That was the first word my foggy mind could grasp. I tried to move my fingers. They trembled, weak, like they didn't belong to me anymore. Panic surged through my chest. My heart raced, pounding too fast, too loud. I forced myself to look around. No flowers, no chairs pulled close to the bed, no familiar faces asleep beside me. Just machines, tubes, beeping monitors, and emptiness. I swallowed hard. "Mom," I whispered. "Nothing. My name is Naira Cole." I was 36 years old, and I had just woken up after 6 months in a coma. 6 months. Surely my family had been here, waiting, praying, crying. That's what families do, right? My father, Pastor Lionel Cole, was known across the city. A man who preached about faith, sacrifice, and family every Sunday from a polished wooden pulpit. A man everyone admired. My younger brother Marcus, the golden son, would have been here cracking jokes, telling me not to scare them like that. At least, that's what I believed. The door opened softly, breaking my spiraling thoughts. A nurse walked in. Her name badge read Elena. She froze mid-step when she saw my eyes open. Her hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God," she whispered. Relief flashed across her face for a split second. Then pity. Deep, heavy pity. She rushed forward, checking monitors, calling out my vitals. But she wouldn't look at me. Not fully. Her eyes kept drifting away like she was afraid of what I might ask. "Where are they?" I croaked. She paused. That pause hurt more than the car accident ever did. "Your family," I forced out. "Where's my family?" Elena pressed her lips together. Slowly, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a white envelope. It looked old, creased, handled too many times. "Your father asked me to give you this," she said gently. If you ever woke up. If, not when." My fingers shook as I took the envelope. My father's handwriting was sharp, rushed, almost angry. I unfolded the paper, and my world shattered. "Nira, if you're reading this, then God decided to spare you. But we had to make difficult choices. Your insurance reached its limit weeks ago. We cannot bankrupt the family over a situation with no future. Marcus has responsibilities. Alicia is expecting. The house needs space. We stop the payments. Do not return home. The state will handle your care now. Lionel." He didn't sign it Dad. He signed it like a stranger. My vision blurred. I reread the letter again and again, hoping the words would change. They didn't. Each sentence cut deeper than the last. They stopped paying. They moved on. I was no longer a daughter. I was an expense. I noticed the date at the bottom. 2 weeks ago. For 2 weeks, I had been lying in this bed, breathing, fighting, surviving, while my family decided I wasn't worth the cost, while my old bedroom was being cleared out, while my sister-in-law, Alicia, who always smiled through her insults, prepared a nursery where my life used to be. A sob tore out of me. My entire body shook. I cried for everything I lost in that moment. My health, my home, my family. The belief that love was unconditional. The door opened again. This time, it was a man in a white coat. Dr. Kiran Rao. I recognized him immediately. He was the only one who ever listened when I talked about my work. The only one who didn't laugh when I said I was building something important. When he saw me awake, his shoulders sagged with relief. "You're here," he said softly. "You actually made it." I held up the letter. They left me. His jaw tightened. He closed the door behind him. Neera, he said carefully, pulling up a chair. There's more you need to know. And I'm sorry, but you deserve the truth. My heart thudded painfully. 2 weeks ago, he continued, your father and brother came here, not to see you. They came with a lawyer. My breath hitched. They requested permission to withdraw your life support. The room tilted. They said you had no quality of life, Dr. Rao said, anger bleeding through his calm tone. I refused. Your scans showed improvement. Your father screamed at me, said I was stealing Marcus's future, said you were... He stopped himself. A burden? He nodded slowly. My own father tried to end my life. And Marcus, the boy I tutored, protected, paid for, stood there and let it happen. But why? I whispered. Why were they so desperate? Dr. Rao hesitated. Because if you passed away within 6 months of the accident, he said quietly, your life insurance doubled. The truth landed like a coffin on my chest. I was worth more dead than alive. And one more thing, he added. When you were admitted, your father was granted emergency control over your finances. Cold dread spread through me. Your savings account, he said. The one you were building for your research lab? Gone. $150,000. 10 years of sacrifice. Drained. I lay back against the pillow, numb. No home, no money, no family. Then Dr. Rao spoke again. Don't sign any discharge papers yet, he said. Someone's been waiting for you. He hasn't left the hospital in 3 days. Who? I whispered. The door opened. A tall man in a perfectly tailored navy suit stepped inside, carrying a leather briefcase. His presence alone shifted the air. Ms. Cole, he said smoothly, meeting my eyes. My name is Julian Cross, and your family has made a very expensive mistake. My heart skipped. Before I explain, he smiled slightly. Tell me, do you remember what you were rushing to file the night of your accident? My mind flashed to the envelope on the passenger seat. The deadline. The work no one believed in. My invention. I whispered. Did it go through? His smile widened. Oh, he said calmly, opening the briefcase. It went through. And it changed everything. I had just woken up abandoned and broke. But in the next moment, I was about to learn that while my family tried to bury me, something worth hundreds of millions had been rising in my name. Julian Cross placed the briefcase gently on my hospital bed, like he was afraid of breaking something fragile. Or maybe he knew I was the fragile one. My hands were still shaking when I looked at him. My mind felt split in two, one half stuck in the pain of betrayal, the other trying to understand why a man like him was standing here, saying my family had made an expensive mistake. I don't understand, I whispered. I don't have anything left. They took everything. Julian chuckled softly, not mockingly, but with confidence. They took cash, Naira, he said, not value. Dr. Rao stayed near the door, watching closely. He looked tense, like he knew what was coming, but still couldn't believe it. Julian opened the briefcase. Inside wasn't money. It was paper, legal documents, contracts, numbers printed so neatly they didn't seem real. I was listed as your emergency intellectual property proxy, Julian said calmly. You added it to your filing years ago. Probably didn't think you'd ever need it. I frowned, trying to remember. Late nights, coffee-stained notebooks, forms filled out half asleep. Oh, God, I breathed. The algorithm, he continued. The one you kept rewriting after everyone told you to stop wasting your time. My chest tightened. The thing my family mocked. The thing Marcus called my cute little nerd hobby. The thing my father used to roll his eyes at during dinner. I remember, I whispered. They said it would never go anywhere. Julian smiled. That's usually how revolutions start. He slid one page forward. Evaluation summary. My vision blurred as I tried to read it. I thought my brain was misfiring. That number, I said slowly. That can't be right. It is, Julian replied. And it's conservative. $900 million. The room went silent. I felt like my lungs forgot how to work. I gasped. That's not possible. I was just trying to fix one blood disorder. Just one. That's what makes it powerful, Julian said. Your model doesn't stop there. It adapts. It learns. The pharmaceutical world realized that faster than anyone expected. I squeezed my eyes shut. 6 months ago, my biggest fear was losing my job. Now this man was telling me I was one of the wealthiest women in the state. While you were unconscious, he continued, 3 corporations tried to buy exclusive rights. I blocked them, negotiated, structured licensing instead. He slid another document closer. You keep ownership, he said. They pay. My throat tightened painfully. My family, I whispered. Do they know? Julian shook his head. No. To the world, you're still poor Nira, the coma patient, the liability. A strange feeling crept through my body. Not joy, not relief, something colder. They tried to kill me, I said quietly. For money. Yes. They stole my savings. Yes. They abandoned me. Yes. I opened my eyes and met his gaze. Good, I said. Julian's brow lifted slightly. Good. They won't see it coming. Silence stretched. Then Julian smiled slowly. Ah, he said. So you don't want to disappear? No, I replied. My voice was steady now. I want to return exactly how they remember me. Dr. Rao stiffened. Naira, you need rest. Stress like this. I've been resting my whole life, I cut in softly, while they used me. Julian leaned forward. What's the plan? I stared at the ceiling. I go back, I said, as the burden they rejected, broke, weak, grateful. Julian's smile sharpened. And while they underestimate you, he said, we move. I want their debts, I added. He blinked once. All of them. Mortgages, loans, gambling notes, church liabilities. I want to own every chain they're dragging behind them, I whispered. Dr. Rao looked at me like he was seeing a stranger. Julian nodded slowly. That's not revenge, he said. That's precision. I swallowed hard. I want to see who they really are, I said, when they think I'm powerless. Julian closed the briefcase. I'll make the calls. Later that evening, my discharge papers labeled me indigent, crutches placed in my hands, a single cheap suitcase at my side. Before I left, Dr. Rao squeezed my shoulder. You survived, he said. Don't let them break you again. I gave him a small, sad smile. They already showed me who they are, I replied. Now I'll show them who I became. Outside, a discreet black car waited. Julian handed me a burner phone. For emergencies only, he said. I dialed a number I hadn't wanted to ever hear again. It rang. Once, twice. Hello? My father snapped. I could hear laughter and a golf swing in the background. Dad, I whispered, letting my voice shake. They discharged me. I have nowhere to go. A long, irritated sigh. I told you not to call unless it was serious. I'm scared, I said. Please, just for a few days. Silence. Then, fine. Basement, you work. Don't embarrass us. The line went dead. I lowered the phone. Julian was already typing. They just let the wrong woman back in, he said calmly. I stared out the window as the car pulled away. They thought they were welcoming a servant. They were opening the door to their own reckoning. They believed I was crawling back with nothings. But as I crossed their threshold, I already owned the chains they didn't know were tightening. The house looked bigger when you returned unwanted. The iron gates slid open slowly, groaning like they recognized me but didn't approve. I sat in the back of a beat-up rideshare, gripping my crutches, my suitcase rattling beside me like a reminder of how far I had fallen, or how well I was pretending to. White pillars, perfect hedges, a fountain humming softly, a mansion built on sermons, lies, and money that never belonged to them. I paid the driver in cash and stepped out. My legs trembled as I forced myself to limp, exaggerating the weakness. Each step toward the front door felt like I was walking into a past I had barely survived. I rang the doorbell. It chimed, cheerful and cruel. After a long pause, the door opened. My mother, Helena Cole, stood there wearing a silk robe and a face mask the color of envy. She looked at me like you look at a stain that won't come out. "You're early," she said flatly. "Wipe your feet. The floors were just cleaned." She turned away without offering help. I dragged my suitcase inside. The living room was spotless. White leather furniture, gold accents, family portraits where I had mysteriously faded out over the years. Every frame screamed success, just not mine. On the couch lay Ariana, my sister-in-law. Ring light, camera, designer bag propped perfectly. "Hey guys," she chirped into her phone, all sugar and fake warmth. "Welcome back." Her smile vanished when she saw me. "You," she said, dropping the phone. "What is that smell?" "Hospital disinfectant, abandonment, truth." "Go shower," she snapped, "and don't touch anything. This leather costs more than your life." I swallowed my pride and said nothing. Then the door from the garage slammed open. Marcus walked in, tailored suit, new watch, smug confidence of a man who never earned a thing. He laughed when he saw me. "Well, I'll be damned," he said. The corpse walked. He stepped closer, not to hug me, but to unzip my bag. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Looking for cash," he replied casually. "Gas isn't cheap, you owe me." He found nothing. "Still useless," he muttered, tossing my bag back. "Just another mouth to feed." I looked at him and thought, "You're driving a car I paid for with money you stole from me." Helena returned, wiping her face. "You're not sleeping upstairs," she said. "Ariana needs your old room for content." Content. "That leaves the basement." The word echoed. She opened the door and gestured downward. Cold air rushed up like a warning. "There's a cot," she said. "Don't complain, and don't come up unless you're cleaning." I nodded. "Thank you for letting me stay." She scoffed. I descended into the basement. Concrete walls, one hanging bulb, a rusted cot beside a furnace that rattled like it might explode. I sat down slowly, letting my body shake. Not from fear, from rage. Above me, life continued. Laughter, music, plates clinking. They ate like kings while I lay in the dark like a secret they didn't want. Hours passed. Finally, Helena called down. "Come clean the kitchen, we finished dinner." The sink was overflowing. Wine glasses, crusted pans. On the counter sat a paper plate, cold mashed potatoes, fat trimmed from a steak, half a corn cob. "That's yours," she said. "Don't waste it." I ate every bite, not because I was hungry, but because I needed strength. From the dining room, voices drifted, low, urgent. "Marcus, we're out of time." My father's voice followed. "The debt collector called again." My heart stilled. "If we don't pay 50,000 by Friday, things get ugly," my father whispered. Marcus groaned. "I lost it, all of it." Silence. Then my father said something that turned my blood to ice. "What about Nira?" I froze. "She's useless," Marcus scoffed. "No," my father replied. "She's perfect." I leaned closer to the doorway. "She's brain damaged." My father continued calmly. "We have a doctor who can say she's incompetent. Conservatorship. Full control." Marcus inhaled sharply. "We take loans in her name," my father said. Pay off our debts. When the collectors come, she takes the fall. And then, Ariana asked, giggling. State facility, my father replied. She won't remember anyway. Laughter. They were planning to destroy me. Again. I backed away silently, heart pounding, and returned to the basement. My hands shook as I pulled out the burner phone. It was recording. Every word. I sent the file to Julian. They're planning fraud and commitment. Full trap. The reply came fast. We've got them. Stay calm. Let them move first. That night, my father came down. He stood over my cot, staring like I was livestock. She's out, he muttered to Marcus. Tomorrow, they plan to drug me, starve me, break me. I stared into the darkness after they left, my jaw clenched. You wanted a burden. I would become one, but not the kind you survive, the kind that collapses your entire world. I lay there listening to the furnace hum, my phone warm in my palm, my heart cold and focused. They thought the basement was my grave. They didn't know it was my war room. Sleep never came that night. I lay on the rusted cot, staring at the cracked ceiling, counting each drip from the leaking pipe like a ticking clock. Every sound upstairs made my muscles tense. The creak of floorboards, the low murmur of voices, the burst of laughter that felt like mockery echoing straight into my bones. They were sleeping peacefully, planning my destruction. I kept my breathing shallow and slow, just like Dr. Rao taught me years ago during one of my panic attacks. In through the nose, hold, out through the mouth. I needed control. Panic would ruin everything. Sometime before dawn, the basement door opened quietly. Footsteps. I shut my eyes instantly and let my body go limp. My father's shadow stretched across my face. I smelled his cologne. Expensive, overpowering, fake. It made my stomach churn. She's still out, he whispered. Good, Marcus replied from the stairs. Doctor's coming at noon. No food for her, my father said coldly. And don't let her drink much water. We need confusion. Confusion. Like I hadn't already been drowning in it. The door closed again. I opened my eyes to the darkness, my heart hammering so hard it hurt. They were going to starve me, dehydrate me, drug me if they had to, all to make me look unstable. A broken woman signs anything. A labeled woman disappears quietly. I reached into my coat pocket and touched the vitamins Dr. Rao slipped me before discharge. I would not drink their water. I would not eat their food. I would survive this on my own terms. Morning came slowly. Basement light flicked on. A pile of silk and lace landed on my face. Get up! Ariana's voice, sharp, annoyed. These need hand washing, special detergent, she snapped. If you ruin even one, I'll deduct it from whatever charity keeps you alive. I sat up slowly, acting groggy. Yes, I murmured. As I reached for the clothes, the light hit the edge of my phone tucked into my waistband. It glinted. Ariana froze. What is that? She demanded. My heart skipped. She lunged forward, grabbing my wrist. Her nails dug into my skin. That's not cheap, she hissed. That's a Veru phone. Those cost thousands. I pulled back, pressing myself against the cold wall. It's nothing, I said quietly. A knockoff. Her eyes narrowed. You're lying, she said. You stole it, didn't you? Or were you hiding money this whole time? She reached for me again. Something snapped inside me. I straightened. The trembling stopped. Touch me again, I whispered, my voice dropping. And I send everything to Marcus. She hesitated. What are you talking about? I leaned closer. The personal trainer, the hotel receipts, the messages you delete but forgot to back up. Her face drained of color. You're insane, she whispered. Maybe, I said calmly. But even a crazy woman can ruin a marriage. Fear replaced her cruelty in seconds. She stumbled backward. Jeremiah, she screamed. She's saying crazy things. She ran upstairs. Perfect. 2 hours later, the basement door opened again. This time, my father entered with a short man sweating through his suit. "This is Dr. Halverson," my father announced, voice smooth and performative. "He's here to help you." Help. I sat hunched over, hands shaking, eyes unfocused. The doctor didn't look at me. He looked at my father. "Lucid?" he asked. "It comes and goes," my father replied. "She was screaming delusions earlier." A lie. The doctor scribbled something. "Do you know what year it is?" he asked me finally. I blinked slowly. Am I late for school?" He nodded, writing faster. "Traumatic regression," he murmured. My father slid a clipboard toward me. "Sign these, Naira. It's for your own good." I stared at the paper. Durable power of attorney, full financial and medical control, everything. I reached for the pen, then stopped. "Why does it say all assets?" I whispered. My father's jaw tightened. "Just sign it." "But my money," I murmured. "You already took my savings." His face twisted. "That wasn't enough," he snapped. The doctor flinched. My father leaned in, eyes burning. "You owe us. You are an investment, and I am done waiting for returns." I looked up at him. "Did you ever love me?" I asked softly. His answer was immediate. "I own you." The words sliced deeper than any knife. The pen slipped from my fingers and clattered to the floor. "No," I said. Silence. My father exploded. "You will regret this," he shouted. "I'll have you committed today." He stormed out. The doctor followed. I waited. 10 seconds, 20. Then my phone buzzed. "We have it all. Don't move. Tonight changes everything." I stood slowly, pulled out the garment bag hidden beneath the cot. Inside was a dress that shimmered even in the dim light. Tonight, they planned to parade my weakness. They had no idea they were building a stage. They came with paperwork to erase me. But by nightfall, the whole world was going to see exactly who they tried to destroy. My father came back that afternoon with a garment bag in his hand, like he was delivering mercy instead of humiliation. He unzipped it and tossed the dress onto my cot. Gray, shapeless, heavy wool, the kind of fabric that swallowed you whole, the kind designed to make a woman disappear. "Put this on," he said. "We're attending the Jubilee Gala tonight." I looked at the dress, then at him. My voice came out small, perfectly broken. "You want me to go outside?" I whispered. "You said people shouldn't see me." His mouth twisted. "They're going to see you," he said coldly. "They're going to pity you." He leaned closer. "I'm launching the Compassion Fund tonight," he continued. "They need to see what I carry, what I sacrifice." It clicked. I wasn't a daughter. I was a prop. "You'll sit in a wheelchair," he ordered. "You'll look confused, weak. When I call you up, you'll cry." I swallowed hard, forcing my eyes to water. "And if I do well?" I asked quietly. He smirked. "Maybe you won't sleep in the basement tonight." I nodded. "Yes, Dad." The moment he left, my hands curled into fists. I texted Julian. "They're using me as bait." His reply was immediate. "Perfect. We'll bring the trap." An hour later, the house emptied. Helena and Ariana left for hair and nails. Marcus went to prepare the car. That's when I climbed through the basement window. The black SUV waited exactly where Julian said it would. They cleaned me, healed me, armored me. Then they dressed me in truth, hidden beneath lies. The silk gown shimmered like midnight lightning. Real diamonds stitched carefully along the neckline. Power wrapped around my skin. And over it, the gray wool. Back at the house, I sat exactly how my father wanted. Head down, shoulders slumped, eyes empty. He nodded approvingly. "You look pitiful," he said. "Good." The ride to the gala was silent. The ballroom was blinding with lights and chandeliers. wealth, influence, judgment. My father pushed my wheelchair proudly. "Such a devoted man," I heard people whisper. They parked me in a shadowed corner. "Don't move," he warned. Then the lights dimmed. My father stepped onto the stage. He spoke of faith, of burden, of sacrifice. He gestured toward me. "Bring her," he said. The spotlight found me. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "This," my father said softly into the microphone, "is my cross to bear." He leaned down, pushing the mic toward my mouth. "Tell them," he whispered. "Thank them." I lifted my head. Slowly, deliberately. I stood. The sound in the room broke. Sharp, shocked breaths colliding. I let the gray wool fall. Diamonds caught the light. Silence exploded. My father stepped back, pale. I smiled. They brought me out to beg. But in the next moment, I was about to turn their charity night into a public execution. The silence didn't just fill the ballroom, it strangled it. Hundreds of faces stared at me, confused, stunned, disoriented, like they were watching reality glitch in real time. The woman they thought was broken had just stood up. The daughter they were told was a burden now shimmered under the lights like something untouchable. My father's face drained of color. "What are you doing?" he hissed through clenched teeth, reaching for my arm. I stepped away, clean, steady, unafraid. The wheelchair sat empty behind me like a discarded lie. "I'm finishing what you started," I said calmly into the microphone. My voice carried, clear, strong, alive. The crowd murmured. Pastors, politicians, donors who had written six-figure checks with smiles carved from pride. They leaned forward, sensing something was wrong, but not yet understanding how wrong. My father forced a laugh, a nervous, thin sound. "My daughter is confused," he said quickly. "As you can see, the injury—" "No," I interrupted. "The injury healed." I turned to face the audience fully. "But betrayal doesn't." Gasps rippled across the room. I lifted my hand. The giant screens behind the stage flickered, then lit up. Video. My father's face filled the screen. Red, furious, unholy. "Pull the plug!" his recorded voice roared. "She's worth more dead than alive!" A scream tore through the ballroom. My father stumbled backward like he'd been struck. "No, this is fake!" he shouted. "This is manipulation!" The video switched. Bank statements, transfers. $150,000 drained from my savings into Marcus's account. A receipt. Luxury car. Applause broke out. Not celebratory, but horrified. Marcus stood frozen near the front tables, eyes darting wildly as whispers turned into open accusation. I didn't stop. The screen changed again. Audio played. Ariana's voice, clear, mocking, cruel. "I married him for money, not loyalty. His sister is just a problem we need to lock away." A furious roar exploded from the audience. Ariana dropped her glass. It shattered loudly at her feet. Racism, greed, disgust. The room turned on them in seconds. I stepped forward. "You used my body as currency," I said, my voice steady but sharp. "My suffering as profit." My father fell to his knees. "Naira," he begged, "please, this isn't who you are." I looked down at him. "You're right," I said. "This isn't who I was." Julian walked onto the stage, flanked by uniformed officers and a woman holding official documents. "Ladies and gentlemen," Julian announced, "my client is the sole owner of the intellectual property known as the Coladaptive Genomic Algorithm." Murmurs erupted. "The valuation," he continued, "stands at $900 million. The number sucked all air from the room. Marcus laughed hysterically. "900, he whispered, then rushed toward me. "Naira, we're rich. We're set. You did it." I stared at him. "There is no we, Marcus. Julian handed me a folder. Debt contracts, mortgages, loans. All legally transferred today, he said quietly. I raised the papers. This house, I said, foreclosed. This church, I added, seized. And Marcus, your debt. I smiled slightly. Mine. The officers moved. My father screamed. Marcus collapsed. Ariana ran. Security dragged them away as cameras flashed, the world watching their kingdom crumble live. I stood alone on the stage, not shaking, not crying, just breathing. For the first time, free. They thought humiliation was the end. But outside those doors, arrests were waiting, and the fallout was only beginning. The ballroom was still buzzing when they dragged my family away. Not the kind of noise that comes from music or celebration, but the sharp, chaotic sound of reality snapping back into place. Chairs scraped, glass shattered. People whispered and pointed and pulled out their phones, desperate to record the moment a respected empire collapsed in public. My father fought the officers, not with strength, with desperation. "You don't understand," he yelled, twisting his body, trying to look holy even now. "This is my daughter. I was protecting her." The words rang hollow. The crowd didn't believe him. They had already seen the footage, heard his voice, watched his mask crack on a screen 15 feet tall. Marcus wasn't shouting. He was sobbing, full-bodied, ugly sobs, clinging to a police officer's sleeve like a child terrified of the dark. "Please," he cried. "I'll pay it back, I swear. I thought she was done. You thought wrong." Ariana didn't even make it that far. She slipped on the marble floor near the exit, heels in her hand, hair falling apart, mascara streaking down her cheeks. She looked back once, just once, her eyes locking with mine. There was no hatred left in them, only fear. The door slammed shut behind them, and suddenly, it was quiet, not empty, but still. I stood alone at the center of the stage, spotlight still trained on me, my heart beating loud but steady in my chest. The gray wool lay discarded on the floor like an old lie no one wanted anymore. For a moment, no one moved. Then a low murmur swept the room. Some people looked ashamed. Others looked impressed. A few looked afraid. Julian stepped closer, lowering his voice so only I could hear. "You okay?" I nodded slowly. I wasn't shaking. That surprised me. All my life I thought if this moment ever came, if the truth ever exploded like this, I'd fall apart. But I didn't, because the breaking had already happened, in a hospital room, with a letter signed by a stranger who used to be my father. The police chief approached. "Ms. Cole," he said respectfully, "we'll need a formal statement later. Tonight, go home. Someone safe will drive you." Home. The word felt strange now. "I don't have one," I said quietly. Julian cleared his throat. "You do now." Outside, the night air hit my skin like freedom. Flashing lights painted the hotel walls red and blue. Reporters yelled questions that blurred together into noise. Is it true? Were you really abandoned? Is 900 million accurate? I didn't answer. I slid into the backseat of the car Julian had waiting. The door shut. The noise disappeared. Silence, this time, was gentle. I leaned my head against the window as the car pulled away. My phone buzzed nonstop. Unknown numbers, messages, emails. People who hadn't known my name an hour ago suddenly needed me. I turned the phone off. The city lights blurred as tears finally came. Not violent ones, quiet, grieving tears. For the girl I was when I believed love was something you earned by being useful. For the woman who lay in a coma while her family calculated her worth. For the home I thought I had. Julian sat across from me, giving me space. "You didn't just survive tonight," he said softly. "You changed the trajectory of your life." I looked up. "I didn't do it to win," I replied. I did it to stop bleeding. He nodded. That's usually when people become dangerous. The car pulled into a private garage downtown. The doors opened to a high-rise lobby lit softly, elegantly. Marble floors, quiet guards, no judgment. This is temporary, Julian said. Penthouse, no press access, no family access. I stepped out slowly. The elevator ride up felt unreal. When the doors opened, I gasped. Glass walls, city stretching endlessly below, lights like stars at my feet. This space didn't feel like victory. It felt like breathing room. I walked to the window, pressed my palm against the glass. Down there was the city that had overlooked me. Up here was quiet. My phone buzzed again. One message got through before it shut down. Dad, please talk to me. They're taking everything. We can fix this. I deleted it, not angrily, calmly, because some conversations end the moment respect does. Julian watched me from the doorway. What now? He asked. I didn't answer immediately. I thought about the basement, the cot, the plate of scraps, the doctor they brought to erase me. I billed, I finally said, what they never wanted me to finish. And your family, I exhaled. They made their choices, I said. Now they live with them. I walked deeper into the penthouse, my heels clicking softly on polished floors, each step grounded, deliberate. For the first time since I woke up, I wasn't reacting. I was deciding. I thought the story ended when they were taken away. But the next morning, a single phone call would prove they weren't done trying to take from me. Yet. Morning came quietly. No alarms, no yelling, no footsteps pacing above my head. Sunlight spilled through the floor-to-ceiling windows, painting the city gold. For a few seconds after opening my eyes, I forgot who I was and what I had survived. Then memory rushed back in, the stage, the screens, my father's face when the truth devoured him whole. I sat up slowly on the edge of the bed, pressing my feet into the plush carpet just to feel something soft beneath me. 6 months ago, I woke up to antiseptic and abandonment. Today I woke up to silence that didn't threaten me. A knock echoed gently through the penthouse. Julian. Coffee, he said, holding up 2 cups. And you might want to sit down. That's when I noticed my phone. Dozens of missed calls. Voicemails stacked like a tower of panic. Messages from numbers I hadn't blocked yet. I already knew who it was. They started early, Julian said carefully. Your father's lawyer called twice. Marcus's once. The church board 8 times. I laughed once, short, humorless. They don't know what to do without an audience, I said. Julian handed me the phone. One got through before we locked everything. Unknown number. Voicemail. 2:13 a.m. I press play. Naira, please. My father's voice sounded smaller, thinner. We're at the station. There's been a misunderstanding. If you come down here and explain, this all goes away. The congregation will forgive. Family forgives. I stopped the message. Julian watched me closely. You don't owe them a response. I know, I said, but my hand hovered over the screen. Because here's the truth no one likes to admit. When the people who broke you start begging, it still hurts. A second voicemail autoplayed. This one wasn't my father. It was Marcus. He wasn't crying. He was angry. Do you know what you did? He hissed. They're freezing everything, the accounts, the cards. My friends won't answer my calls. You embarrassed us. You think money makes you better than us now? I closed my eyes. There it was, not remorse, entitlement. Remorse. Call me back, Marcus continued. We need to talk like adults. This is going too far. I ended the message. Julian exhaled slowly. They're escalating. I nodded. They always do when they lose control. The third voicemail was the one that changed something in me. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was my mother, Helena. Nira! Her voice trembled, fragile in a way I'd never heard before. They took your father away in handcuffs. People are watching. I don't know what to do. I raised you better than this. I opened my eyes. Raised me better than this. My chest tightened. I remembered being 8 years old, cleaning the kitchen alone while Marcus played video games because boys shouldn't be bothered with chores. I remembered being 16, winning a statewide science award, and being told to stand more to the side in photos because Marcus needed to look confident. I remembered bringing my first real paycheck home and watching my father's pride light up. Not for me, but for how easily I handed it over. I raised you better, she said. No, you raised me quieter. Julian waited. He didn't interrupt. He knew this wasn't business. It was something older. I stood up, walked to the window. Down below, the city pulsed with life. People late to work, traffic snarling, street vendors setting up carts. The world didn't stop for betrayal. It never does. Do you know what hurts most? I said softly. Julian shook his head. They don't miss me, I continued. They miss access. I turned back to him. They didn't call to ask how I was. They called to see if I'd break. He nodded once. And will you? I didn't answer right away, because the truth was, a part of me wanted to pick up the phone, to hear my father say my name again, to feel like I mattered beyond contracts and headlines. But I knew better now. I sat back down and opened a blank message, typed slowly. This is your only response. Do not contact me again. All communication goes through legal counsel. Any attempt to harass or coerce will be documented. I hit send, then blocked the number, one by one. Father, mother, brother, Ariana, church board. Silence returned. This time it felt earned. Julian checked his watch. There's one more thing. Of course there was. The church, he said. They're claiming ignorance, playing victim, saying your father acted alone. I laughed bitterly. Convenient. They're hoping you'll back off, Julian continued. Public forgiveness, a statement about moving forward. They think it will save them. I walked back to the window. That building was paid for with stolen funds, I said, with money meant for communities that never saw a dime. Julian nodded. We can audit everything, full exposure. Do it, I said. No hesitation, because this wasn't revenge anymore. It was correction. An hour later, my phone buzzed again. Not a call, a notification. Breaking news. Prominent pastor arrested. Daughter at center of financial scandal speaks out. Julian raised an eyebrow. They want a statement. I shook my head. Not today, I said. I thought of the basement, the cot, the pen clattering to the floor when I refused to sign my life away. I've spoken enough, I added. I walked toward the office area, rolling up my sleeves. Julian smiled slightly. What are you doing? What I was always meant to do, I replied, finishing my work. He paused at the doorway. You know, once this settles, people will line up. Investors, politicians, foundations. I didn't look back. Let them, I said. But I choose who gets access now. I sat down at the desk, opened my laptop, and pulled up the project files I'd almost lost forever. The algorithm loaded. Every line of code felt like a heartbeat. Outside, the city kept moving. Inside, I finally was too. I thought cutting them off would be the hardest part. But the next move I made would turn my private healing into a public reckoning, and there would be no going back. I thought cutting ties would bring peace. Instead, it brought noise. By noon, my name was everywhere. Screens in the penthouse flashed silently with headlines scrolling across the bottom. My face frozen mid-sentence from the gala, my eyes sharp, unrecognizable even to myself. Disgraced pastor arrested, daughter exposes family fraud. $900 million, genius betrayed by her own. They didn't know which version of me to tell. The victim, the villain, the miracle. Julian muted the TV completely. Media's requesting interviews, he said, major networks, financial journals, advocacy groups, even universities. I didn't respond. I was still staring at my laptop screen. Lines of code flowed past like an old friend welcoming me home. This work had waited for me while everything else fell apart. It didn't ask for forgiveness. It didn't demand loyalty. It just functioned. Reliable, honest. The way family should have been. You don't have to say anything, Julian added gently. We can stay silent. Let the legal process speak. I leaned back in the chair, exhaling slowly. Silence protects them, I said. They'll twist it into humility. Mistakes were made. Lessons learned. Julian nodded. You want to set the record straight. No, I corrected. I want to set a boundary. There's a difference. At 2:47 p.m., my inbox pinged with a message that made my hands still. Subject: Open letter from the board of Grace Hill Church. I didn't open it right away. I already knew the tone. Grief-stricken, shocked, unaware. They would condemn my father's actions while distancing themselves from responsibility. Claim surprise. Claim trust betrayed. I clicked it open. 3 paragraphs in, there it was. We ask for compassion during this difficult time and hope Nira Cole will consider reconciliation for the sake of healing. Reconciliation. The word felt like acid on my tongue. Julian watched my expression harden. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, I said slowly, that healing doesn't mean pretending the wound never existed. I stood up and walked to the window again. Down below, reporters gathered near the building entrance, cameras angled upward like weapons. They want forgiveness, I continued, not accountability. Julian was quiet. He let me arrive where I needed to go. I'll do one thing, I said finally. One statement, no interviews, no Q&A. He nodded. Written? Recorded, I replied. Unedited. That got his attention. Are you sure? Yes, because I wasn't speaking to journalists. I was speaking to people like me, the ones who woke up alone in hospital rooms, the ones who paid for love with obedience, the ones taught that silence was survival. We set up the recording in the penthouse office. No makeup, no glam, no diamonds. Just me. Neutral background, soft light. A chair that didn't feel like a throne or a cage. Julian stood behind the camera, quiet as ever. You ready? He asked. I nodded. The red light blinked on. For a second, my mind went blank. Then the words came. My name is Nira Cole, I began, my voice steady. And I want to be clear about one thing. This is not a story about money. I paused. It's about power. I spoke about the coma, the letter, the attempted conservatorship, the quiet ways control dresses itself up as care. I didn't name names. I didn't have to. When people ask why I went public, I continued, they assume it was revenge. It wasn't. It was self-defense. My throat tightened, but I didn't stop. Forgiveness is personal, I said. Accountability is public, and one does not replace the other. I leaned forward slightly. To anyone watching who feels guilty for cutting off family who hurt you, please understand this. Protecting yourself is not cruelty. It's survival. Silence lingered after my final words. Julian waited a beat. That's it? That's enough, I replied. We uploaded the video. No comments enabled, no ads, no monetization. Within minutes, it exploded. Messages flooded in. Not from executives or celebrities, but strangers. I thought I was crazy. Thank you for saying this out loud. I left my parents today. I feel less alone. I sat back down, overwhelmed. For the first time since the accident, my chest loosened. Healing didn't feel like erasing the past. It felt like standing in it without shrinking. Later that evening, Julian returned with another update. "They've frozen the church's remaining accounts," he said. "Full forensic audit approved." I closed my eyes. "Good." "And," he added carefully, "your mother requested supervised contact." I didn't react right away. "What kind?" I asked. "A letter," he said, "handwritten through counsel." I considered it, not because I owed her, but because I owed myself honesty. "I'll read it," I said. "Not tonight." Julian nodded. "And if it changes nothing?" "Then that's my answer," I said. The penthouse grew quiet again as night settled over the city. I walked back to the desk, reopened my files, and resumed working. Each line of code felt like rebuilding, not an empire, but a spine. I wasn't doing this to prove anything. I was doing it because I could finally choose what my life became. Outside sirens echoed faintly in the distance. Somewhere else, not in me. I thought telling my story would finally close the door, but the letter waiting for me the next morning would force me to confront the one thing I hadn't prepared for: what to do with the truth when it comes wrapped in an apology. The letter arrived the next morning, not by email, not by courier, by hand, plain white envelope, no return address. My name written carefully, like each letter mattered more than the last. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Not because I was afraid of what it said, because I was afraid of what it might awaken. I carried it to the window and let the morning light fall across it. The city below was already awake, people rushing, arguing, living. It felt strange knowing how small my family's chaos was compared to the world's endless motion. Finally, I tore the envelope open. Inside was a single page, my mother's handwriting. "Nira, I don't know how to write this without sounding like I'm asking for something. So I'll start by saying I'm sorry. Not the kind of sorry that wants forgiveness, the kind that knows it may never come." I swallowed. "I failed you. I watched your father turn love into control, and I chose comfort over courage. I told myself you were strong enough to handle it. I see now that I was wrong." My chest tightened. "I don't expect to be part of your life. I don't expect understanding. But I needed you to know that when they took him away and the house went quiet, the silence finally said what I refused to. I was wrong. At the bottom. Mom. No excuses, no demands, just regret." I set the letter down and waited. Not for a response, for a feeling. Anger didn't come. Neither did relief. What came instead was grief. Soft, aching, overdue. The kind that mourns not what was lost, but what never existed in the first place. Julian watched me from across the room. "You don't have to reply," he said gently. "I know," I replied. "I want to," I added. He nodded once, understanding. I sat at the desk and pulled out a blank sheet of paper. Not email, not text, paper. "Mom, I believe your apology is real, but believing you doesn't mean returning to what hurt me." My pen paused. "I'm not angry anymore. I'm just not available." I breathed out slowly. This is the boundary I didn't know how to draw before. "Please don't write again." I signed my name. Just my name. Not daughter. Not family. Nira. When Julian returned the letter to counsel, I felt something settle inside me. Not peace. Alignment. The kind that happens when you stop arguing with yourself. Weeks passed. Quietly. Intentionally. The audits finished. The church dissolved. The property sold. The proceeds went where they should have gone years ago. Community funds, scholarships, restitution. My father pled guilty. Marcus disappeared from public view. Ariana tried to reinvent herself online. None of it touched me, because for the first time in my life, my story wasn't orbiting theirs. I built the lab, not flashy, not branded with my name, just clean, precise space for work that mattered. On opening day, Dr. Rao stood beside me, pride in his eyes. "You did it," he said. "We did," I corrected softly, because survival is rarely solo. One evening, months later, I returned to the penthouse after a long day. I kicked off my shoes, sat on the couch, let the city glow outside the windows. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I stared at it for a moment, then deleted it without reading. And that's when I realized something quietly powerful. I wasn't resisting anymore. I was choosing. I chose what came into my life. I chose what stayed. I chose what mattered. The girl who woke up alone in a hospital bed believed love meant endurance. The woman standing here now understood something else entirely. Love is mutual, respect is non-negotiable, and silence, when chosen, not forced, is freedom. I poured myself a glass of water and stood at the window one last time. The city hadn't changed. I had, and that was enough. If you've ever been taught that loyalty means suffering, if you've ever been told to stay quiet for the family, if you've ever had to choose yourself for the first time, know this. Walking away doesn't make you heartless. It makes you honest. And sometimes that honesty saves your life.